Deputies say around 5:30 on New Year's Eve, 25-year-old Luis Armando Rojas went to his ex-wife's home in the 18,000 block of Whitcomb near Barker Cypress and Clay Road to talk about their 5-year-old daughter. Apparently, Rojas began arguing with his ex-wife's new husband, Luis Ernesto Lopera. Deputies say that's when Rojas allegedly pulled out a gun and shot Lopera multiple times. The 41-year-old victim was taken to the hospital where he later died. Rojas fled the scene. Authorities say he's been charged with murder and a warrant has been issued for his arrest.
Whenever anybody meets Luis, you notice his presence. Almost like he had this glow around him. I just was instantly attracted to him.
If you ever met Luis, you remember the first time you meet him, because he's got all the confidence in the world and he's able to back it up.
My favorite thing about Luis is he was always willing to help.
He thought more about others before he did himself.
He always made people feel special.
Everyone who met him had the best impression.
My brother's the type person, no matter what he did, he would always try to connect with people.
He was my best friend. He did everything. He was so adventurous, so loving, so caring, just for even somebody he didn't even know off the street.
Everybody liked my daddy, but because he was so nice, and I loved him so much.
My brother loved comics. Loved is an understatement. He was passionate about comics.
He loved superheroes. He got comic books about superheroes.
Yes, he loved Superman. He loved, all the powers he had. And
He loved soccer. He was very involved with that. He loved his dogs. He loved his animals.
Loved his cooking. Thanksgiving was his favorite holiday, and you knew to get out the way because you were in for a treat.
He always had great ideas about how he was going to better himself in the future, how he wanted to provide for his wife and daughter.
I think the thing that's important to talk about Luis was that he got to the point where he just, he realized the quality of man he wanted to be, and he worked really hard to be that man.
He was a very good guy. So that's why it makes it extremely hard for anybody to accept this.
Sophia's father, Luis Rojas, we knew each other since the 4th grade. As far as I've known him, I've always known of him having a crush on me since we were kids. He's always had a violent history ever since I can remember, always bullying other kids. He's always had guns around the house, almost like really paranoid, jealous, extreme jealousy. We began getting in physical fights. He threatened me, put a gun to me, and told me, if you leave me, I will kill you. Can't have my daughter growing up thinking that it's okay for a guy to point a gun in your face, for a guy to spit in your face. I just couldn't have that, and I said, I'll die trying to get her out of this. That's where I ended up meeting Luis, and that's when my life began. Yeah.
Before Maxine, he was just a playboy, a pretty boy, smiling all the time, flirting with girls all the time. Then he finally met Maxine, and suddenly he started calming down.
Maxine, he loved her to death. She made him very happy, and he made her very happy, and it was a good relationship.
Probably about a month later, he met Sophie, and I think that was what sealed the deal.
Even though Sophia wasn't his, he was already playing with her as if she was. He was already taking care of her, doing everything in the world to possibly keep her and Maxine happy.
He loved Sophia. He loved her tremendously, like she was his own kid. She called Luis daddy. He pretty much raised her. I mean, he showed as a father figure for all those years.
Mom, no. It's gonna be scared.
Ready? 1, 2. How big your legs? Fly like Superman. Ready? Go! Woo! Good job, Sophie. Swim, 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 swim. Good job, Sophie.
There you go. Stay calm. Don't freak out, Pia. Just keep going.
See?
Got it!
You did it!
My My daddy was always nice to me and he loved me so much.
Louis had pretty much taken on the role of my dad, super dad, man of the household, and he did everything he could to raise and help his family.
Happy birthday, dear Sophia the Great. Happy birthday to you. Yay, Sophie!
He would tell me some stories. I mean, he would tell me about, issues of, the ex-boyfriend, saying unpleasant comments or aggressive tone toward him.
He actually had a timeline of the time he first met Maxine to his first encounter with Luis Rojas. When he first met Maxine, he put in there dating Maxine. It was only month and year, but the next one said, finally met Luis Rojas, and he had one thing in there that stood out. Parentheses, prank calls start.
We would get constant prank calls. It would start off with little annoyances like that.
This timeline had more than a year, more than 2 years in there. Every single line said prank calls, continue, prank calls, prank calls. He got tired of writing so much, he just put prank calls.
I remember one day telling him that, yeah, that's wonderful, but, Lord forbid something happens. What good is a Excel spreadsheet of, all the times you two disagree?
I told Luis that a piece of paper isn't going to stop a bullet, and I wish I hadn't been right.
Who keeps a timeline of somebody if they're not worried about them? Who does that? He knew something was going to happen, and I just don't think he knew how.
I don't think anybody in the right mind would have expected it would have gone to the point where my brother was killed.
It was December 31st, New Year's Eve, and we were supposed to head over to Luis's brother's house, Alex. All of a sudden, we just see these legs walking across our lawn. It was Sophia's father, and he was very upset. So he goes to the front, and I follow him, and immediately Sophia's father they just start arguing.
At that time, Marcy and Luis already were behind the door.
When I'm looking at Sophia's father, I can just see that there's this rage in his eyes, that he's so filled with anger and nothing I say is gonna matter.
He responded, pushing the door in. Marcy was pushing the door out and he pushed the door in.
He kicks the door open and my husband Luis is screaming, no, no, no. And they just start fighting.
In the next tenth of the second, I jumped and I saw Luis fell on the floor instantly.
Everything happened so fast, and I just remember looking down, and Luis, my husband, is laying right here on the ground, and it just looks like he's taking a nap.
I jumped on top of Luis. I started to call it. I told the guy, don't kill my son, please don't kill my son. And I put my arm on my son Luis' head, and I was telling Luis, please don't die.
Sophia had come down and she saw her dad laying here.
Sophie came down from her room and told to Luis, Daddy, Daddy, wake up, Daddy, wake up. She didn't know that she wasn't able to wake up.
I can't describe it. It's losing your mind, literally,
I bury here, he told me, take care of Sophie, Marcy, Alan, and you. When he said you was the last word his mouth pronounced. I lift his chest and I saw a big hole in his chest, and when I realized that he was dead, That means he died in my arm.
So this is Louis, my husband's blood here on the carpet. I remember when I first came back home for the first time, there was just this stain here. And I just laid on it and I just cried. I just replay that day over and over in my head and think what I could have done differently.
Since that day, I have no single minute of peace or happiness. The damage will be forever.
I just miss him. I just miss everything about him.
I may hear something on the radio and I just want to pick up the phone and call him, and I just realize I can't do that. The unfortunate thing is, you have Maxine and Sophia who are living in constant fear that, he's going to come back and finish the job.
He did the unthinkable. He could still come back. He's still out there.
We're not satisfied with just being told by the homicide detectives that you just have to wait until they catch this guy.
To America's Most Wanted, if you could please reach out and help the Lopera family. Help bring his killer to justice.
This is a life that should have never been taken by a person that should not be allowed to be out on the streets now.
It's very hard to know that Louis Lopera has no justice.
The killer's still out there, and at this point in time, he's got nothing to lose. There's no telling. He may not stop. Maybe his intentions are not to kill the wife and the daughter, but maybe his intentions are to come back and take the daughter, kidnap the daughter. Maybe to come back and kill both of them and kill himself. Nobody knows. It's an irrational person who did a disgusting, despicable thing.
I think he's a danger to society. He's taken away our Superman.
How can they possibly put the pieces together with this killer out on the streets? We need your help to catch him.